So we're testing something new today. We're going to try to run some secondary audio that is running. Oh, that's fun. That didn't work. I don't think that's going to work. Hi, everyone. I check. That's probably not going to work. Let's see. Testing the internet connection. Today we're going to be talking about Incredibles 2. It's going to be fun. That came out in 2018, which seems closer but farther because of the way that time works these days. Waiting for let's see that internet connection to kick in. See if Instagram's gonna play along today. Knowing my internet connection, I might have to. Nope, wait. There we go.
What's up, brother?
How we doing? I'm gonna probably
Pretty
edit
good.
that intro down. I was not on the A game there.
That was difficult for me too.
Yeah, I
If you
don't
don't
know.
know, we're trying to up our audio game, and so we got some computer working with us as well as the IG today.
Yeah, I'm gonna try QuickTime just because.
What's going
Welcome
on?
to. It's just not letting me record, which is awesome. I
On
have an old
Audacity?
computer. Yeah, it's not liking it. So
Okay.
we can start talking right now though, and then the audio can just kick in a little bit better in a moment. How you
I
doing?
mean, worst come worst, we'll be able to use the IG audio, so
Yeah.
it's all gravy, baby. I'm doing pretty good, dude. How you doing?
Good, good. Just another week.
Another
Just
week?
cold weather, and we got wind out of nowhere today, coming from the. I don't know. I'm talking like I know what direction the wind's coming from. Um, let's see. Let me
I
get
barely
this.
even know which way is west because I mean we're in such a weird place in California that like the water's not even always west.
Mm-hmm.
It's like northwest. Anyways, let's talk about some Pixar stuff. Welcome everybody, Sean and Marco in the morning. I'm doing pretty good, dude. I'm on 3 jobs this week, working 3 different jobs, and I'm a little bit stressed, just a little
That'll
bit.
that'll do it. That'll definitely make things a little difficult. No, I'm still applying for things here and there, and just
Yeah,
the job market is a battlefield at this point,
it
to say
is.
the least.
I'm getting headhunted up the yang right now for jobs I don't want at all, but like everyone is looking at me, which is good. It's a good problem to have. I'm not complaining about that. It's just funny to see some of the jobs that are out there.
Better, yeah. Like I sent you that one where I was like, oh, extras in a movie, like, and then,
hmm
then you pointed out, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to really be worth our time, considering
Anybody who
how.
lives out here in LA that's ever worked extra work or knows people who have, normally it's between $100 and $2 a day tops. It's 12-hour days, and you literally just kind of stand around and you're an extra whenever they need you. Sometimes it'll call for like literally hours and hours of makeup because there'll be like a zombie in The Walking Dead or something like that. But because of that, I don't. I make that I make comparable money in the industry that I'm in, so I didn't really feel like doing that. But if
Yeah,
you want to come see Sean, you can come check me out at the Lighthouse over in Hermosa Beach, world famous. If you watch La La Land, we're in that. If you like jazz, we're your people.
you like
So
jazz? You like jazz, Sean Beeman?
I do. You know me. I love jazz. That's why Monsters Inc. hit such a wonderful place in my heart.
One of the few people
How,
that I met in my life that didn't like jazz was from Chicago, and I felt that that was a big cosmic, like,
yeah, it's an oxymoron for sure.
yeah,
How's the truck doing, dude?
it's going all right. I moved it today. I was measuring some stuff on the shell, and I realized that in my head the shell is so much bigger, and I'm like, oh, it's only this angle that I was looking at. This area was only like 7 inches wide, and I'm like, oh, that's not as for some reason I thought it was this long, flatter area that I was
hmm
working on. That'll make more sense later. But yeah, doing all right. I haven't taken it for a drive or anything in a while. But just trying to keep busy, trying to figure out what to do next. Yeah, no news is good news this week, I'd say.
Yeah, no bad news about that. That's
Hmm.
good stuff. Um, as we've been saying for the past few weeks, we do have some stuff in the works, trying to knock some things down. If you've checked the comments on the Pete's Plant truck, you can get some hints as for what we're trying to get done, but we'll see if it'll happen. I still have my fingers crossed. I think people want to see us, so
Oh,
our
I don't
goals,
think there.
I feel like, will be attained.
Yeah, I don't think there is there's a doubt that people want to see us out and about. It's just a matter of when, where, and how, and
Yeah.
just figuring that out scheduling wise. I realized too that I joked a while back about hitting up the Pizza Expo until I realized we're not going to be in town during that week in March. So
Mm.
so I was like,
Well,
I'm not going to pursue that any
yeah,
further this year because that would
I
just be a
feel you.
logistical nightmare. But
To all those that are listening, if you wanted a Pizza Planet truck appearance, it's definitely a doable thing. We can make that happen for the right price. All you gotta do is leave a little direct message to us on the Pizza Planet truck Instagram. We can start that conversation for you. Everything, parties,
right, yeah,
just appearances. If you got something going on and you want to see the truck, we've been at all kinds of cool stuff to this point, so nothing's off the
yeah.
table, and we just like hanging out. So it's a good time for us.
Right now it's mostly just like distance is the thing. Like people will ask
Hmm.
like how long for an hour, and I'm like I can't drive 3 hours to sit for an hour. Like if it's
Exactly.
going, the trip, the event distance has to be comparable to the time spent at the event. Because if we're just boop boop like ping pong and so
It has to be worth our time, basically, is what we're trying to say. So, because I mean, we're both busy. As much as we love the truck, and it is a passion project of ours, it is exactly that, a passion project. We both have lives outside of the truck, and we gotta make sure the bills get paid, y'all. So,
exactly.
moving on, we get to this whole shebang. This week we
Mhm.
covered Incredibles 2, which starts off with a wonderful short that I feel like Marco probably has a special place in his heart for. Because when I watch it, I can kind of see some symbolism between Marco and or some metaphors that connect to Marco's life for sure.
I mean, it kind of does definitely. I think what's interesting is I remember when they announced that like Bow was going to be the short that started. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I think it's a 9 minute short too. It's long. It's pretty long. I think
Yeah,
like
it's
La
not
Luna.
short.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of the shorts that are my favorite are the longer ones. Like La Luna
Hmm.
is like 9 or 10 minutes. I think Bow clocks in at about 9 minutes when some of the others have been as short as like 4 minutes. Um, yeah, the short that confused white guys on the internet and Reddit as a whole apparently, but
Why were they confused? What do you mean?
people are very confused and don't understand symbolism apparently, and I think they were taking the short literally in a lot of
That her
ways.
dumpling turned into a boy?
Yes.
That's not all right.
Yeah.
It's
So
wild, man. That's a
yeah,
bummer.
I think it's fascinating how people I think it's interesting to see how people get a different impression of different movies and how like their interpretation of it. But sometimes the interpretation is so far off that I'm like,
It's deep.
not sure, not sure
Well,
about that.
I think it kind of speaks a lot to, the whole left brain, right brain thing, and how some people are able to see, like, the hidden picture and some people aren't, and just how, like, the lens that we all carry and we all put on, we all put glasses on every single day, whether you're aware of it or not, and what your glasses allow you to see or what you're used to seeing. And it's hard for you to see things you're not used to seeing. And so,
Hmm.
like you covered right there, white guys who aren't able to see the metaphors, that's two things right there. They're having a hard
Yeah,
time dealing with the culture, and they're also having a hard
hmm,
time dealing with understanding symbolism and metaphors, which is two, which works against stuff. I would imagine
yeah,
it's probably not everybody white, not everybody has a hard time with
yeah,
metaphors.
yeah.
So
But grand comedic generalizations is
yeah, no, I
something
got
that.
you. And it's the internet too, dude. So like the
Yeah.
loudest person is doesn't have to be the most people.
Hmm. Yeah,
So I
sorry.
was gonna say I truly enjoyed it myself as a foodie. Like
Hmm.
when you're connecting a love of food and a passion of food, because I'm sure with you as well. Like my mother has recipes that are her recipes, and that she does them the way that she does them. And it might be a family recipe, and all my
Hmm.
tias and all my everybody else knows how to do it, but they
But
all
each
have
one.
their own version, and
Hmm.
it's perfect the way they do it. It goes there, and if you help them, you have to do it their way. It
Hmm.
can't be any other way. And when you watch the way she's making the dumplings in the beginning, and compared to how she's teaching at the end to make the dumplings, it matters to her. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And that's the same care that you put into raising a child. I feel like where it's like I know that that's how you raise your child. This is
Hmm.
how I raise my child.
I think what's really neat too is like you said with the example of like all your aunts making the food is it's like all of the things that make each of their techniques unique. If you were to try to combine the things that make them unique into one thing, it wouldn't be as good.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting too much into it, or just like
1,000%. We have a recipe we
alchemy.
make in my house. It's called sopa, right? And
Hmm.
if you're Latin, sopa means soup. If you've had it, sopa de fideo. It's traditionally it's a soup with noodles inside it, fideo noodles, right? And it's like a
Hmm.
tomato-ish soup, sometimes a little bit of cheese and some chicken broth as well, a little bit, and it's
Hmm.
delicious. My family, some of my tias make it like a soup. Some of them make it really thick, like a macaroni and cheese, like a Mexican mac and cheese, and it's delicious. You've had this. I've made it for you. It's really good, but it's just everybody makes it different. And if
Yeah.
I'm with some ideas and I try to make it the way my mom makes it, I can feel it. I can feel the eyes looking over me, you know what I mean? And I'm in their kitchen working with their baby now. You know what I mean? And that's how it operates. The other thing I really liked about this is just the leaving of the nest aspect of it. You know, we all go through different phases of this in our lives where like
Mhm.
whether it be you go on your first date or you get your first job or you get your first place, whatever it might be, all of those are so difficult for our parents to deal with, you know?
Mhm.
Like just because they're so used to being the person. They're so used to
Mhm.
being the one that you count on and everything. And for there to be somebody else taking that, I don't want to use the word jealousy, but it kind of is jealousy of love, and
Mhm.
it's a normal thing. I don't want to put the negative connotation around jealousy, I guess. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's something everybody goes through, and it's just it's growing pains. I guess is
Yeah.
probably the nicest way to put it. Yeah, even for the kid and for the parent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what was really neat with the short too is that like you can tell I believe it's Vancouver that it is set in. I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
or Toronto. Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna look that up. Um, but there's like the photorealism in the food. But then once you get to that initial kitchen set, um, it looks photorealistic, but the proportions and the way that the characters are rendered, they almost look like it's almost like only about this big, maybe like
Mm-hmm.
12 inches across. Like it's like a dollhouse almost. And I thought that was a funny like
I
start
thought
to
it
it.
was one of my favorite parts of the whole thing is how, and it's something that Pixar does really tastefully. I was thinking about it while I was watching the movie. I guess I'll touch on it now. They're able to take cultures and tastefully characterize them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They can create a caricature of these cultures where like it's a fine line, Marco. You can't
Hmm.
just draw slits for eyes for Asian people. You know,
Hmm.
that's a hard. Especially when it's a white person drawing those slits. You know,
Yeah.
or a black person, anybody who's not that. You know, not of the culture.
Yeah.
And then like I'm watching like the end of the movie, and there's a black judge. He's got a big old schnoz, and he's got big lips, and it's all the features that are very prevalent in the African culture, and at the same time, it's tastefully done. I don't feel like they're making fun of me or anything. I feel
Hmm.
like it's just
Yeah.
this is the way people look like this in our universe.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. I
I think
think,
that's wonderful.
yeah, I, as watching like anything creative and stuff, it's interesting seeing how different companies handle that and how like,
Hmm.
and like they all do it differently. And I'm sure there's like a team of people that are
Yeah.
sitting there going,
Is this okay? Is
"No,
this not
don't do
okay?
that. Is that okay? Is that okay? Don't do that."
Well, but I mean,
Yeah.
Marco, they took a dumpling and turned it into a kid at the end. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like
Yeah.
that's something that like if I drew that, I'd get in trouble on the internet. You know what I mean? Because I'd have a hard time. First of all, it wouldn't look nearly as good, wouldn't be nearly as tasteful. I'm not of the culture, so it would look like it's like making a black joke when you're white. Even if it's funny, some people still cringe. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Um, and I think I was thinking on the comedic scenarios that occurred in that short, of just like the, getting hit with a soccer ball, just like
Yeah,
flattening
dude.
the.
Boom. But that's so true,
Hmm.
Like think about like any
Most
time when your
likely a
mom
sport. Yeah.
overreacted to a scrape or a bruise. You know what I'm saying? Like I just kind of stopped telling my mom when I got hurt after a while because it was like I want to go back outside. I don't want her to hold me in. Like I'm ready to
Hmm.
go. So it spoke to me for sure as well.
Yeah. The I mean, I had plenty of scraped knees, like climbing trees, and it's like I'm sitting there
Hmm.
going, like later in life, I'm like, how did I scrape my knee climbing a
Dude,
tree? I was
one
just
time
like,
I kicked my brother out of it. My brother was mad, right? My older brother, and he chased me up a tree. And I climbed up the tree, and he was climbing after me. He wanted to beat me up, and so I kicked him in the head, and I kicked him in his nose, and he bled, and he fell out of the tree, and he hit a couple branches on the way down. You know what I mean? And we didn't tell nobody.
kids are brutal.
He would have gotten in trouble too. Well, what
Yeah.
happened? Well, he was trying to beat me up.
So I kicked him down a tree. Well, wait, you were
Like
doing what?
he knew that he couldn't tell on me because he'd get in trouble. So we had to just sit there, do one of these with the napkin, and hope that nobody knew.
Hide the evidence.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh
I'm
man.
I'm with Bao. I think it speaks for itself. It's just really really cute, and I'm excited to see what Tony Shi
It's
and
one
the.
of my absolute
Yeah.
favorite shorts, and you could tell it really started something where we have so much personification in all the other shorts. Everything has to do with animals or things that aren't human, you know. And we're
Mm-hmm.
getting back to this point where they've gone back like Gerald's Game. Like this is people. It's how people interact. And
Mm-hmm.
now when you watch Pixar, you got all like the Spark shorts and all that other stuff and everything. There's
Yeah.
so much that's culturally related. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Directly to the animators. They're telling stories that mean something specifically to them. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And that I feel like this specific short really spearheaded that, really pioneered the space for those animators to be able to tell their own personal stories.
Mm-hmm. It's getting kind of there's definitely like a new wave. There's like a you're getting a lot more personal stories. Not that they weren't personal before, but I feel like
Yeah.
now like you're getting
Instead of there just being
between
a theme that connects them to their story, now
yeah.
they can use characters and plot devices and all kinds of things that are actually it's like watching 8 Mile for Eminem. I'm watching,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's for the animator instead.
Yeah.
This isn't their name. This isn't exactly what they look like. This isn't exactly their story. But
Mm-hmm.
here's a really cool version of it that I think you'll enjoy.
Yeah, and just like being able to take that experience and like express it creatively, I think is that's got to be
Mm-hmm.
so fun. It's got to be so like it's got to be tough work, but it's got to be so fun.
Yeah, I watched some of
Um,
the interviews from them on their Spark Shorts and stuff, and they all talk about how like it's not the Spark Shorts only, but all the other shorts. They talk about how they don't they didn't all want to participate in the sense that like they don't all want to be a director or be a
mhm,
you know they don't want that responsibility. But then when they're forced to do it, they're all so pleased with themselves and so excited to get their story out.
mhm.
I know we all feel the same way, you know, like when you get to go in front of the class and you do a good job, it feels great.
And you're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll do that again, and then next time you're like, no, no, no,
No.
never mind.
All right, well, let's get into the movie, dude. Incredibles 2. I'll be totally honest. My expectations were through the friggin' roof, dude.
Hmm.
Like, like the hype behind this movie before it came out. We've been talking about this movie for almost a decade. Like,
Hmm.
we were everybody that was anybody when it comes to the Pixar fandom was so pumped for the "Where's My Super Suit" lines. We wanted to see Mr. Incredible back in action doing what he does, you know, which is
Hmm.
funny because it's not really what we get at all in this movie.
Yeah.
And then just being able to see the superpowered family now at their full potential because we only saw them at the very beginning, and so now we're going
Hmm.
to see like, oh, cool, it's Dash grown up now. Like, what's
Hmm.
going to happen?
It's neat how quickly they get right back into it, and we'll get
Oh
into
yeah.
that in a second. Where it's like, yeah, it's like I remember when they announced this because I think they announced this around the same time. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I probably am. That like I remember it was like they were like Toy Story 4, Incredibles 2, and they announced like the slate of all these sequels, and
Well,
everyone
I'll
was
tell
like,
you the fun fact about that, Marco, was
hmm.
that they did announce them just about at the same time that they were both going to come out. And initially, Pixar had slated Incredibles 2 to come out before Toy Story 4.
Hmm.
But what had happened was, or Toy Story 3, I'm sorry. What had happened was that Toy Story 3's production was going so well and so quickly that it actually bypassed Incredibles 2. And it
Hmm.
wasn't that Incredibles 2 was taking so long, per se. The production
Right.
of the story itself took a long time.
Hmm.
But once they got into production, it wasn't that that was taking so long. It was that Toy Story was flying.
Hmm.
So
Huh.
yeah, it is a trip that like they really they and we've been to Pixar and seen how they're normally 2 movies ahead. They have the movie that they're in post production, they have the movie they're in pre production, and they
Hmm.
also have normally have a movie in post production. You know, and having that much projects going on at once is really I don't want to say troublesome, but it's
Hmm.
taxing. But
Yeah.
it's really cool to see how like they were fluid enough to be able to go. You know what? Let's just boop these real
Let's
quick. Yeah.
transpose them. Yeah. So I mean, I had high expectations for Incredibles 2. Oddly enough, like the first Incredibles, like when I was in high school, I think I watched it with the
Mm-hmm.
commentary. And Brad Bird's, if you're going to listen to like one movie with director's commentary, I'd recommend the first Incredibles with Brad Bird. At least when it comes to
More
his,
so than Ratatouille, because you were really high on the director's cut of Ratatouille.
yeah, just Brad Bird talking about film is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch into behind the scenes, you can see that he is a force to be reckoned with in more ways than one. I'm sure that's going to be an interesting environment to work in. I'm sure it's very rewarding, but I'm sure the lows might be a little lower than some spots. But I
I
mean,
can't
that's what,
imagine because he's somebody who's taken whole scenes that were basically done and just gone, nope, doesn't fit the story.
yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean? We wrote the storyboard 2 years ago. It was perfect.
yeah, I was yeah. There's a 18-minute like making of for Incredibles 2, and it's literally called Strong Coffee because that's what they refer to Bad Bird as. And it's interesting when they talk about kind of his place in animation history, how he was in
How
this
do you want your
real
coffee, Brad?
incredible strong, incredibly strong. But yeah, I had high hopes for this. I was really excited to see where else could they take this. What is there a time jump? And how
Yeah.
much of a time jump? And
Well,
then we
Marco and I are also really big fans of anime as well. And time skips are very popular, especially in Shonen Jump animes. And
hmm
so, like, and this movie definitely draws on, like, the action of, I mean, maybe not necessarily anime, but we'll call it American anime, like superhero television shows, which
hmm
also draw from Japanese anime. And so you
hmm
get this really cool, like, later on, some of the scenes with the fights and everything. There's so much that's just like, you could literally sub in like Dragon Ball Z characters and have this really sweet fight with all these same characters. It's just rad. So
hmm
yeah, dude, the expectations were through the roof. I went and saw this movie with my whole. I think it was like 12 of us. Like my whole family went. Dude, it was nuts. It
hmm
was nuts. I'm talking like three generations of people all in the same theater, and we were all just. We were. I think we stood up and applauded at the end of it. We were so excited. It was so good, man. It was so good. I was so excited. Um, so yeah, like you said, it picks up right where we left off. We get the Underminer, which it was funny because like two things. One, when we left off, it's 10 years ago, animation style wise. You know what I mean? So like the where we are now compared to then, there's more windows and buildings. There's
hmm
textures on the sidewalk.
hmm
There's things that are the tires aren't just black tires now. Now there's texture to them. You can see the
hmm
indentation of each tire. It's a trip. And all that like in the first 30 seconds getting that like overload of it all, it makes you feel like you're a kid again because when the first Incredibles came out, you were that
Yeah.
wowed with the technology,
hmm
you know?
I think what was really funny too with this is as soon the way that they kind of obviously mirrored the start, where it's like here's a line, here's a little bit of an interview, kind of put you in
Mm-hmm.
the zone,
Mm-hmm.
um,
It
and
creates that well, we got to touch on him.
mhm,
What's his name? Bud Lucky, Agent Rick Dicker. He he kind of embodies the what's the word I want to use here? Like the tone of
yeah.
this movie. He
hmm
embodies it.
Just all right, what's going on? All right,
Hmm
what's happening next?
It's the X Files. We're watching the
Yeah,
X Files in
yeah,
the 50s. It's pretty rad.
yeah. We got to talk about Tony Ridinger, his glow up. He went from like he's half the man he used to be because of his, like because he didn't have a neck. Just
Hmm
let's just say the design of the character changed as had he stayed that original design, it would have been terrifying to see uh,
Yeah, and
upscale.
also, I mean, like back into we're 10 years down the line. Coco did a great job. I touched on like the whole cultural thing and how they can take people. They've got the Western European man in this. They have so many, they're not man, just people. There's so
hmm
many variations of look that work so friggin' well throughout this movie. Like
hmm
nobody looks the same at all. And I
Yeah.
mean like eyebrows are different, noses are different, mouths are different, cheekbones are different, foreheads are
hmm
different, head shapes are different, everything down the line, which is true of people in real life. And
Well,
to be able to do that and not create a world where it just looks super cartoony, you know
hmm
what I mean? Because a
Yeah.
lot of the movie really looks like, I don't want to say real, like the settings look real, but the people themselves look like color pencil drawings almost. You know what I
hmm
mean? Like a lot of the movie, if you kind of pause it and you look at a scene, it looks really pretty.
hmm The I think it was really funny to have them come right back to where the movie ended. Like, what
Hmm
happened? Oh, well, see the next one and you'll see. And the Underminer is such a ridiculous villain in the best way. I think it was funny too seeing like maybe there was kind of a shift in the type of villains that appear. We'll get into that later, but like, the type of villain that comes in is like, hello, it is me. You're gonna be robbed. Like that wasn't the type of villain that's gonna exist moving forward in this world of supers. So, but
hmm
it's this movie is one action set piece after another, and each one just stacks on top of each other. It gets crazy. Like that opening sequence is just. just gag after action gag, and just like
I
out
feel
your
like this
character.
movie really reminds me of like if you've seen Fantasia and you watched the segment Rhapsody in Blue, how
Hmm.
like it has like these like lulls where it's just a trombone player or a trumpet
Hmm.
player. And it's just somebody walking down the street with like a little
Yeah.
flute playing background. But then all of a sudden it goes
Everything's coming in.
and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, and it's the same scene, but now they're jumping and the buildings are bumping and all that. That this movie flows like that because when it has lows, it pulls you in and you sit there and you feel for them. And then when it gets big, your eyebrows hit the top of your forehead, and my mom knocked on my door at one point while I was watching this, dude, and I got mad because I didn't want to pause the movie. Why? I was like, we're in the
Watch it.
helicopter scene, and I'm like, what are you? God, meatloaf, meatloaf.
Ma, the
What did she
meatloaf.
do back there, man? I don't know.
One thing
Oh man,
I noticed while watching this is I took a surprisingly large amount of notes, and I don't know if it's that many things were catching my attention that I was like, I have to mention this later.
this is your notes on this one were probably about 3 times as long as normal. You know,
Yeah, there.
and
I
so
think it's
which
just
was
there's
cool.
yeah, there's so many like little detail things here and there. So I think what's funny is the opening scene occurs when like supers are still
Illegal.
illegal,
Yep.
and we encounter the kryptonite of progress, bureaucrats. And I think that it's interesting seeing how the times have changed, like
hmm
both as a story point and as an homage. Uh, Rick Dicker has to retire, but his character and his department are no longer needed um, without supers.
Yep.
And it's interesting seeing who ends up the private sector starts to pick up, at
hmm
least in the form of dev tech. And I've definitely skipped over a large portion of some of the stuff,
Yeah,
but
no, no,
like,
you're good. We'll go back a little bit.
yeah, uh,
So I just want to touch on one thing real quick because I thought it was really rad, and we can blow by it again. But Violet's new ability to throw her fields was glazed over very quickly. It just boom, 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 happened.
mhm,
That's a wild ability. We'll touch on it later, but
yeah,
that's a really good ability. Like she can now throw force fields around. That's pretty sick.
mhm,
And then the whole all the problems arise pretty quickly. But we got illegal superheroes. We got Violet is now been seen unmasked, which is a
mhm,
huge deal.
mhm,
And uh, I got right here working in the foreshadows. And then after that, immediately following this whole scene, we get introduced to the whole DevTech crew, right?
yeah,
And like I personally, I feel like I was along for the roller coaster on this one for a portion of it. I could tell immediately that Evelyn wasn't necessarily good, just because I pay attention to these things. The shadows around her eyes. Immediately, I was like, I don't know about
girl
that
is
one.
tired, therefore she is up plotting
Yeah.
things.
Oh my gosh, Miss Franzine. Shout out to Miss Franzine. I'll never tell a woman she looks tired. Okay. So I like how there's little pieces that she gives us, little breadcrumbs. Or he could have taken mom to the safe room. And then I like how after that, like this is where they start just listing it off. We got the problems I told you already. Then we go into I got the kids. It'll be easy. Okay, Mr. Incredible. Um, immediately, like
Almost,
as he says that, you
yeah.
see that scene, bags under his eye for the first time in the movie. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Um, and then Eve designed it. You can tell Edna's gonna be pissed about that.
Yeah.
And then, hey, I had a mohawk. There's a lot you didn't know about me. Which that portion is more for me as the viewer
Mm.
because like we have the power scaling thing. I don't have Elastigirl very high on my list, and this movie
Mhm.
will definitely help propel her a lot higher on that list.
Mhm.
I dig after that we go to this whole mom's breaking the law, and I dig that DevTech is like just this really good jab. You know what I mean? Like the whole time where like you're sitting there thinking they're good, and I really enjoy it because what's the guy's name from DevTech? What's his name?
Winston.
Winston. Winston is a great piece there because he's so good. He makes you think he could be bad. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I remember the
Yeah.
first time watching this, thinking like maybe they're in cahoots. Maybe he's
Mhm.
the real mastermind. Like she's probably bad, but
Mhm.
maybe he's the real mastermind.
Mhm.
And I had this hard time the whole movie just trying to find foreshadowing pieces for him to do it. And he says things so positive that they might be negative. Like I feel like the whole
Mhm.
time. And I feel like that was a great way to kind of just lull me into one corner while they get the Screenslaver story going the whole way.
Hmm. I think the conversation that they had at dinner immediately following them getting arrested, I think that
Hmm.
was an interesting like series of events where it's like the law should be fair, but if the law is unfair, you should be able to protest it with that. And it's like,
That
oh,
conversation is how I feel about COVID.
yeah,
1,000%. That's exact. Because I mean, literally, that kind of wishy-washy. Because you could tell both of them feel like the other one's right and wrong at the exact same time.
yeah, and everyone's just like,
Like the
yes,
dad's
do
falling on
both.
the side of the fence of like, we need to be supers, but we have to watch out for these children. And she's
Hmm.
falling on the side of the fence of, we need to watch out for these children, and we can be supers. And it's
Yeah,
like, you guys are,
you're saying the same thing, but
yeah, and you're mad at each other about it.
yeah. Um, I mentioned it later in the notes, but I have to mention I love mid-century design.
Hmm.
Um, and so this movie was just a feast for the eyes, even down to like the motel room that's not supposed to be a great motel that's modeled off of the Safari Inn, I believe, in Burbank, I
Oh.
think. Or there might be another one up north. But I think it's great. They're like, oh, you're in a motel. And I'm like, this motel looks better than some apartments. Like television and like there's these tasteful color blocks and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, that bathroom that was brightly colored. Christiana is pointing that out in the chat. That it was a bright pink bathroom,
Hmm.
which is more color than most hotel rooms have. I think a lot of hotel rooms are like, let's make it gray. No, make it grayer. It's just like the saddest, like Sleeping Beauty kind of thing.
I
Just
feel like
too,
motel rooms always have a light that flickers, and I don't know if that's just my luck or not.
yeah. That there, I think like, what would you say is the dingiest hotel you've stayed at? Like unintentionally, or like
Oh,
hostile.
easily we call it the West Western because it's definitely not the best Western. That's what we call it in our house, the West Western. That's probably my least favorite hotel. You know what I mean? Hotel, but make
Uh,
it Burbank. That's a
Make it
great comment.
Burbank. I always think about, so did I ever tell you about my first experience with Airbnb?
No, no, no.
I
Make it short. I got it here, but make it short.
Yeah, I'll make it short. I was trying to stay over in San Francisco, and I was staying in like Union Square, and they're like, "Oh, here's the room," and it had a picture of like a bed, and it was like two windows, and it looked nice and sunny, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, like it looks like it's a converted hotel that's turned into an Airbnb. I have a room, whatever." And I get to the room, and it's like I've been working all day, or like running around with friends, and I come back to the room, I check in, I open the door, and it's like a white bed in a room that like has like a sink in the corner of the room. It's not even like it's just so bad. I took a video of it, but then I'm sitting there going like, why is the blind? Why is the shades shaking? And I walk over to it, and it's because the window is permanently in the locked up position, and it's
So it's
just
always open.
always open, leading to the central airway of the building. And I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, huh. And I texted my friend. I'm like, I don't think I should stay in here. And my friends are like, no, leave now.
Did you leave?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my
I'll
God.
I will post a comparison of
Dude, put that
the
on
picture.
the Pizza Planet truck website. Did you sleep in the truck? Tell me you slept in the truck.
No, no,
That'd be
no, no,
so
no.
cool.
No, I was
Oh.
able to crash on a couch,
Uh-huh.
and everything was fine. But that's my first Airbnb story. Um,
I stayed
Motel.
in one recently, and it was a converted garage, and the front door was in the garage door. So like imagine the garage door goes like
Oh,
this, right?
mhm.
But then also on the door that goes like that, it has a open. Yeah, it was weird.
What's funny is just like I think like in Shang-Chi he's sleeping in a garage, and I'm like, that
Hmm.
would be kind of cool. Where it's like, oh, I gotta sweep out my room, just open the door, and then I'm like, I think of all the things like if everything could you could clean it out that easily. Think of all
Marco's
the things like,
moving to the garage,
all
everybody.
right, here we go. I'm gonna live in a carport now. Don't mind me.
Oh man. All right, so where are we at next? I forget. I don't know where we're
Uh,
at. Let's see.
so we're
Mom's
kind of just
breaking the
bouncing
law.
her. Mom breaking the law, motel, Frozone coming in. I do love that Frozone like appears because like they're at the track meet. And
Hmm.
then Underminer comes in and he's like, ah, and then like halfway through the
Yeah, he's
pursuit,
just
like
there.
Frozone just like rolls in, and it's like it's cool because
So,
he's across town and he's like, my city
well,
needs me.
we see it later, and we can touch on it. I want to know, how does he get there so quickly? Like at every situation,
Hmm.
he's it's that I got to add in my power skill. he's very fast.
Teleportation.
I mean, I know that Dash is supposed to be the fast person in this movie and everything, but
hmm
I mean, this guy
He's
gets around really quick.
he's
Like,
probably just doing like a bobsled luge kind of thing, standing up
do
on,
you think he's like already on patrol in that situation, or do you think he has to go through the "Where's my super suit" situation again?
I think if anything, I feel like he's just like always prepared. I feel like
Hmm.
he's the type of guy that's like always ready to go. I think it's interesting
He's a
too. Like
dark
if you,
horse. I
yeah,
don't mean that in a
speak.
racial way. I mean, like he's a dark horse for our power scaling thing. Because I'm sitting here
Yeah,
thinking, like, he doesn't really get beat very much, and his abilities are all he needs. Like they say in the first one, all he needs is the water in the air.
yeah. And even then, we'll get into that later. There's some interesting stuff if we want
Hmm.
to get into some science there. I think it's neat that he is more strategic. He thinks he's more cerebral than than Mr. Incredible for sure, because he's always thinking a couple steps ahead. Where he's like,
Well,
I
that's kind
probably
of
should
Mr.
leave.
Incredible's biggest weakness. I feel like.
Mhm. He thinks with his whole chest on some things, you know.
Frozone is the best super? Really?
I
I don't
think
know
he's.
about that. I think we could really go into that one, man. I don't know about that one. I think
You
he's
think?
really good. I
Mhm.
do, but I also think that the power of ice isn't as strong as you think it is. I think it's really
Oh no,
strong,
there.
but you know what I mean? Like it's
Who is
we
Frozone's
watched
flame
him
boy? Who is?
we watched him get beat up by the step down supers essentially. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to call them, second rate supers. And his ice
Yeah.
wasn't enough to take out Brick. So I wouldn't put her in the same category as Mr. Incredible either. So I don't know. I think he's really good. I think he's very, very smart with the way he goes about attacking things and everything, and he's learned the best ways to utilize his abilities.
Mhm.
But especially to what you talk about with his, thinking things through, I think Elastigirl takes the cake when it comes to ingenuity.
Mhm. Oh, well, I think having Sam does have a point here that Samuel L. Jackson does give him an edge. Just him being portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson is just like, but yeah, you know what? Let's
Yeah,
have
but
to.
that's kind of the problem, man. This would be a rated G movie, but he tried to put an MFer in
Oh,
there.
you're saying Frozone is like the golf cart with the governor on it. Like you
It's
could make that golf cart go way too fast, but
What if
it's
it
got
was mother effing Frozone?
he's
I'm mother
bad.
Frozone.
Shut your mouth. That's talking about Frozone.
Why has nobody put the double cheese royale bit to Frozone?
Oh, I'm sure someone has to have. They now I want John Travolta in an Incredibles movie.
You know what I'm saying? That whole scene from the first one when they're doing the whole police scanner and all that, dude, there's
Yeah,
some real Pulp Fiction vibes that could
yeah,
happen there.
yeah.
Oh, I'm
Someone's
excited. We're
probably
getting
done that, but
somebody.
we'll check YouTube. We'll look into that. So they go to DevTech. I think
Hmm.
we'll bring that up.
Yeah,
They
we're
go
going to
to
DevTech,
DevTech.
and Frozone's got him over there telling him how it's going to be this great whole check it out. I think I can help us all out again, kind of a
hmm
situation. And it's a situation that seems too good to be true.
hmm Yeah, that's the thing. That was what was worrying me at first, and it's like good writing and good story structure. Is that I'm sitting there going, I don't trust this 100%, and then
Hmm.
through subsequent scenes, you're going, okay, this might be a good thing. I thought the superhero surveillance was going to come back in a different way for some reason.
What'd
I
you think?
thought that I thought it was going to be one of those things where it was going to somehow be used to like misconstrue what was going on, and it
Mm.
was towards the end. It was, and I think that's what that was fascinating too. That Evelyn had um, a she had an eye and flair for media and using that and using its shortcomings to
Well, I
really.
think that also kind of speaks to what we were talking about earlier, the personability that
Mhm,
the Pixar movies have now come into.
mhm.
We're in a time now without picking sides or any of that. We're in a time now where mass media is under
Yeah,
the microscope. It's scrutinized to another level. And
yeah,
even in this children's movie, it's scrutinized. They talk about how if you want, your perception to be out there, you have to show people your perception. Otherwise, the
mhm,
media will take it and show them what they want to show, which is a true narrative of today. You
mhm.
know, whatever side you fall on, you feel that way. I promise, because we don't all want to see bad news all day, but I promise
Yeah.
you, when you turn the news on, it's going to be some bad news on
Mhm.
there.
I think what's really interesting about the time that we live in right now is that there is so much media being created. And and I'm not saying that like I mean maybe I am. I'm not even sure what I'm saying. That's where we are right now. So like it just feels like since things are so consolidated, like before when television shows were made, you weren't sitting there getting a trailer for like, here's what's coming up on from NBC and here's 15 minutes of show previews. And now like it's this big event where like yesterday Netflix released their like 2022 trailers. And
Hmm.
I just there's so much going on, but I think too now since it's all cataloged, I think that's one thing where like, anything pre like even stuff from like 2005, you're sitting there going like, well, where is this? Wasn't this produced digitally? Where Internet Archive and that kind of stuff is keeping track of that. But it's like I think it's funny seeing what little pinpoints. We still reference strong bad. We still reference certain like and like you can't even find the original Flash for some of those. You have to find someone who recorded their screen at that time
Yeah.
to save that for posterity. And I think that's what's interesting with media right now. But then too, you find yourself going like, we're making something like the fact that we right now are sitting here talking about like we're making content, we're creating content, Sean. We're
We're
content
content
creators.
creators,
We're
dude.
content creaters. Hi, hello. Let me scream randomly. There's something going on.
Am I an
Um,
influencer because I'm telling you to buy this T-shirt?
yes, we. I mean, that's one thing too. Not everything is a promotion. Like that was, I think it's funny is like there's a lot of stuff where like, oh, here's something cool that I noticed, and I think people assume that now that we are doing a lot more promoted posts, people think that everything we're doing is a promotion. It's like no, we'll tell you when it's a promotion.
Yeah.
They've provided the tools for that.
Well, what's cool
Um,
about the promotions for us right now, at least, in the space that we're occupying, is that it's all going to go to a really solid spot to just help us move this whole thing along and the truck along. It's not as though,
mhm.
I'm just trying to sell beauty products to you or anything like that. I'm just trying to have fun at the end of the day.
All right, here's the plan, Sean. We're gonna make a line of Tupperware, and then we're gonna make a pyramid out of that Tupperware. And it's a
Okay.
scheme to
This
build
is
a Tupperware pyramid scheme.
all right. For $2,000, you can buy in, Marco.
Yeah. So
So where were we at? Evelyn's. I just want
DevTech
to talk about
in.
Evelyn. How she's. I know we've already identified her as evil with the baggy eye or with the dark circles around her eyes, but I
She's a
really
working
feel
woman,
like.
Sean.
Well, no,
She's
dude.
got.
She
I know.
continues to give you little pieces throughout where like
Yeah.
she's on your side, but to me, I normally with the character, with an evil
Hmm.
character, the villain, they start off bad, and then there's redeeming qualities throughout, right? And you
Yes,
start
and
to
then
fall into their side. And I
mhm.
felt the exact opposite of this.
She
It really turned it on its
plunges,
head. Yeah. I
plunges
started
into
off thinking like, oh,
evilness.
she's cool. She's cool. Her and Elastigirl have a lot in common. She might not be the best person, but you could tell like, okay, well, they seem relatable. She seems like an
Hmm.
Elastigirl on that side. And throughout the entire movie, like you just said, she plunges. You don't like her. She is disgusting, really.
There's a lot of like, um, you can see like the pent up. I can't think of the word. There's just like you can see the disdain that
Animosity.
she has. Yeah, animosity towards like supers that she has, and it's kind of like wow, this is like I have to. You've created an evil plot, but I got to give you points for thinking it through because
Yeah.
towards the end.
Well, dude,
Um,
even the message, it kind of comes off as convoluted with Screenslaver talking about how we're all just taking the easy way out, whatever's the most. And she makes that same argument later on in the movie, but Screenslaver's talking about that over the ways, talking about how all we want to do is live in the simulated reality and all this stuff, like you don't really want to protect your wife. You want to live in a place where someone does it for you.
yeah,
That's what she's saying with that
yeah.
argument, you know what I mean? But it's kind of just up in there for you to pick up if you can,
Hmm.
as opposed to like I really enjoy foreshadowing and stuff, and that was
Hmm.
cool because I had to sit there and search for it.
Hmm. The one thing that was fun with DevTech is I think it was great because they're like, let's inject some money into the situation. So they go from the motel
Hmm.
to the absolutely ridiculous dream house that I think is supposed to be. I think they released. Let me look that up where it was. Um, just perfect like hold on, mid-century pocket house in the hills, and I think there was. Oh, that's it. Here it is. I love that they have this. Filmandfurniture.com. It talks about how the the mansion is 20,000 square feet. And I one thing I liked about the design of this is I go, wow, that's really beautiful. And then I go, I would hate to be the person that has to wash those windows that face the city.
Oh my
Because
gosh,
they're
yeah.
like 100 foot tall, 100 foot tall.
Off a cliff,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh,
That's
there
that.
goes one.
That
Um,
building, that house is next. And what's crazy too is if you've ever been in mansions like that today, they don't read the same,
yeah.
because everything's now 50 years old.
Hmm.
And like you're like, oh, this wood isn't really as quality piece of wood as I thought it was, or
Hmm.
like all these little the water's starting to seep into this, or all kinds of
Hmm.
stuff. But it's wild to see something in its heyday like that. It's like looking at
Yeah.
pictures of Disneyland back in like the 50s and 60s, and you get some good
Hmm.
pictures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that stuff looks wild. But if you go on the Dumbo ride right now, it still looks like it's in the 50s or 60s. You dig what I mean?
Yeah.
Mind you, they redid the Dumbo ride, but still.
Yeah, it's got that new coat of paint. But yeah, it's like the that space is neat, and I'm like sitting there going like, what is the thing? What was the gadget that you saw in that house
In the
that you're like,
house
yeah,
that I
that you
want.
liked? Yeah,
Oh, let's see.
100 foot tall waterfall simulation, the endlessly interchangeable floor plan, which was interesting. That created like little
I don't think
rivers.
I'd want the floor plan. I think that would
Mhm.
bother the crap out of me, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah,
Um, dude, I don't know. I wouldn't really want that house all the way, to be totally honest with you. There's so much of it that's
and
not functional for me, like
yeah, you
personally,
wouldn't.
Like I like the space that it has. I think that's rad. But even
Hmm.
like the kitchen, dude, I want an open concept kitchen, dude. I
Oh
want
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's hard because that house is very 1950s mid modern. So like it's not what I'm looking for per se when it comes to living.
Hmm.
It's gorgeous. I'd
Yeah.
love to hang out there. I'd love to have
Hmm.
the waterfalls on and be able to dip my toes in the water while I'm on the couch. That'd be sweet. But
Hmm.
also like after like on a Monday night after a weekend of everything and I just got done the week before, I don't want to
Hmm.
have to like accidentally hit the wrong button and fall into the water.
Volunteer room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds terrible.
I really love that conversation pit. Conversation pits need to make a comeback, and I think they're.
Oh,
I
I
don't
see
know
what you're saying.
how. I don't know how they're
Yeah.
going to come back, but
Well, that's
because
hard though, and that kind of speaks to the issue that we have in this movie is that we're all addicted to screens, and the conversation pit is somewhere where there is no screen available. You have a conversation instead. Okay.
literally, welcome to the pit of conversation.
We're having a conversation right now, Marco, and guess what? We're looking at a screen.
Can we? Yeah. Well, we'll fix that soon. Can we name
Yep.
when we find that space? Can we name it the conversation pit? Can
Oh, I'm into that.
we...
I'm into
Welcome to
that.
the
The
pit of
conversation pit.
conversation. Stop the pit of conversation. Welcome. I've taken
The
several
station pit.
years off your life.
There's only
What?
conversations and sensations that happen here.
They don't happen at the
Oh,
same time. Just-
one thing that's crazy, and it's nuts to watch when they choose Elastigirl for the first mission, and you watch Bob go through that whole wrestling match in his head of trying to be okay and support his wife, even though he's
yeah.
not going to be number one because he's used to being the number one hero. And
Hmm.
you watch that whole process go down. If you ever had a similar thing that happened, it feels very, very genuine. Like
Yeah.
very genuine. Because I mean, like Bob, mind you, this really goes to the actors right here because they do a phenomenal job of not only acting out their part, but acting like a couple. Because
Hmm.
he really wants to be number one and he loves his wife. And it goes back to that conversation at the dinner table where it's like, look, I want both of these things. I just
Hmm.
fall on this side of the fence. And the same thing for her again, And they're in this consistent struggle of trying to support each other and not
Hmm.
have mental breakdowns.
Yeah. The initially when I first saw Incredibles 2, I was dissatisfied with how they treated how Bob's arc character development was treated because it felt like he was taking steps back to the first film where I understand that like
Yeah,
obviously
like when he was at his
relationships
at his
are
dead end job.
yeah you feel like I get that like in real life like people make the same mistakes again sometimes like or you take a step back, you take two steps forward, that kind of stuff, but for some reason to me at first I was like it seems like Bob is like
Putting
having
supers
trouble
with the poor
adjusting.
family. Well,
Yeah,
I think
but at the
he
same
didn't
time
though.
like yeah.
Like when you really look at it, it's that in this one, because you got to imagine this is literally less than a week after the last movie took place,
Yeah.
right? And
Well,
so he's not only had well, I get it. Yeah, you had the whole skip from the end of the last of the syndrome uh arc and it goes into a week or two later, however long later, and you got Dash at the track. I got
Yeah.
you.
Sorry.
But what I was gonna say is that he's only had so much time to deal with that lesson, and he's implementing what he thinks is right. And I know you've probably done this as well. I do it. You're doing what you think is right, even though it doesn't feel good. And the problem with that is that if someone invites you to do something you don't want to do, and then you say, all right, I'll go do it, and you go do it, and you're just a sourpuss the whole time, the person that invited you no longer really wants you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've now defeated the purpose of you sacrificing. And that's what's happening here is he's trying to help these people, trying to help his family and choose his family first. But the problem is that he gets in his own way and he can't get his feelings. He can't shake that feeling of, I just wish it was me. I just wish I was out there. And that gets before all the other problems. So he can't think anything through.
It seems like we were talking about it earlier where we're like, he's his own biggest obstacle 9 times out of 10, it seems like.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, it's because he lacks the think through-itiveness. You know, he doesn't have that like Elastigirl or even Frozone has. You know, he kind of sees what's in front of him. Even with like, remember when he's fighting the robot in the first one?
Yeah.
Like it took the robot to hurt itself for him to realize, oh yeah, that thing's as strong as itself. You know what I mean? Whereas like Elastigirl probably would have started there because she doesn't have super strength. She would have tried to turn it on itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Elasticycle? Should we talk about
really
that?
cool concept. Really cool concept. I have a tiny bit of issue with the way it works. You know, I just feel like, I don't know. It's a cool concept. I feel like, so she just drags the back one? Are they independently operated?
I think they connect and disconnect. I think it's like they're
they do. But I mean, like, do they both? Is it all-wheel drive? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know.
She doesn't have super strength, so that means that she's just pulling this, quarter-ton motorcycle behind her for half of it, which has got to be taxing. I just feel like that's a small plot hole, tiny. I know I'm nitpicking here. It was just something that when I'm watching it this time, didn't feel that way the first time. I'm watching it this time and going, how does she? Okay.
Yeah.
And her idea of, when they talk about messy, real quick, the mess that she caused was she destroyed her own motorcycle in comparison to Mr. Incredible destroying cities. Just saying.
That thing, considering that the motorcycle was electric, had a hell of an explosion.
Oh, you're right.
They were like, oh, it's electric. Just like, which made me maybe
Incredibles 2 brought to you by Michael Bay.
maybe it was a sabotage motorcycle. Maybe it wasn't maybe it was a motorcycle full of what are you using for coolant?
Honestly, no, it really could have been a sabotage one.
It
really could, because I mean, you figure who gave her that motorcycle, Marco?
Listen, all of y'all, it's a sabotage.
One thing I truly enjoyed, because I've been here a little bit, is Bob's trying to teach Dash math.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about this.
Why would they change math?
Yeah.
Dude, they really did. They straight up changed math. For all you listeners over, say, 25 or so, I'm imagining, dude, math is different now. They got all kinds of new concepts.
Common core math is so weird.
They make you do, like, addition in such weird ways now, and multiplication. It's all, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't want to get it. I'm good. I'm cool with late 19th century mathematics. I'm way cool with that, you know.
What is the one thing that you retain from school? The weird, like, acronyms and stuff, like, we got
the Pythagorean theorem.
Yes. Wait. Okay. Oh, yes. I was like, wait, because quadratic is what sticks in my head.
Oh, okay.
Remember quadratic? Like, do you remember quadratic where it was like a square boy goes to a house party, and it's Marco, like it was
I don't want to do this to our listeners, where like they know this about me, but I am mathematically deficient, dude.
Oh,
I don't remember. We took algebra together in college.
Yeah.
And you kept going, and I stayed back and did it again. And that's why I don't know what quadratic formulas are.
I truthfully, like, I'm looking this up right now. We're losing our listeners right now.
Oh my gosh. They want
a quadratic equation is any equation that can be arranged. Let's see.
Betty Geek, if you're listening, I want to hear your answer to this word problem. If I have 19 bananas and I was to buy 42 watermelons, how much gas did I spend in going to the grocery store?
And two trains. We should write a film that ends with that, where it's like, I ain't good at math. And then all of a sudden it's like, John, there's 3 trains heading towards the city. One of them's heading this fast. The other one is carrying this many cows. One of them's got this much fuel. You got to tell me which one's gonna get to the city first. I don't know why it's Sam Neill.
It'd be Elon Musk. Oh, she got me purple. She wins.
Wouldn't be
All
Elon.
right.
Elon Musk doesn't know what a train is. I will go on the record and say that I don't think he knows what a train is.
I'm pretty positive Elon Musk knows exactly with the Hyperloop going on. Pretty sure he knows exactly what train is. All right. So the other part I dug about this whole scene with the math is not just how math changed and it's difficult to try to help kids these days, but also, all right, the bus is here. Violet starts asking some hard questions, and he gets in the situation where he's like, and the bus is here, and just like pushing everybody out because he does not want to deal with all these hard questions.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation with a child where you're like, I'm not the one to answer that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Usually I just go, I've done the usual, like, go ask your parents. Go ask your parents. That's not my decision. Oh, well. But
I have a lot of little cousins, man, and they'll come up to me and ask me all kinds of stuff just about the teenage experience, if you will. And a lot of times they'll ask me in front of their parents, and I just kind of look at them, look around, like, am I supposed to answer this question?
You're looking more you're looking more for a way out. You're like, where is this kid playing? What am I doing?
Oh man,
I've been in situations where you're trying to, like, so at work we photograph families and we're sitting there going like, okay, we got to get this kid to smile. And I tried to like lead on like, okay, parents, you have to finish my sentence. Otherwise you're going to have to buy this kid an ice cream cone because that's what I'm going to promise him. If you don't catch on, that's what I'm trying to do. And you're going to go, yeah. And the parents
is that the real
Mickey? Yeah, the fake one is flying off in another universe right now. He's on a different dimensional plane, And...
If you're telling kids that, smile.
Really captured existential dread very well in this photo. Look at that.
Speaking of kids, though, can I just talk about how great the Angry Dr. Seuss thing was? Like, if that was a lane, if they could just do audiobooks of Angry Dr. Seuss reading, that would be... And the doozle was snoozling, and the best koozling.
He had Bob had a lot to do, and so did, like, you can see all of how flexible Elastigirl had to be to take care of all of them. And Mr. Incredible is encountering a couple of
Edna says it best. She goes, parenting can be quite heroic if done properly.
That's definitely.
And it was a great line, dude, because 2 things. 1, Edna Mode gets it. 2, not only is that when things start to click for Bob, but it starts to click for the kids, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I know personally, like, a lot of times when you're that defeated,
mm-hmm.
when you're that low, there's nowhere else to go, you start moving up. And what happened in that moment was, earlier in the movie, we have social suicide where Violet goes to walk in on Tony and explain why wasn't he there the night before, And in this moment, now we have the ego suicide essentially with Bob, where he's sitting there completely defeated. And he's Mr. Incredible. But he doesn't feel very incredible right now. And he's on that couch and he's telling her, all I'm doing is trying my friggin' best. And he has this moment of breakdown, which I'm sure you've probably had. I know I've definitely had, where like it sucks because it's just whoever's in front of you gets it. But you just all of a sudden turn around and you just blow up on them and you say, I'm doing my friggin' best. I'm processing. I'm trying to make the right move here. I'm trying to make the right move there. And what happens, dude? You get burned because you realize that it's just like I said earlier, you're trying to help everybody, but you get in your own way and you hurt everybody along the way. And in this moment of ego death, he's able to put himself completely aside. Doesn't matter how terrible he feels. He's able to tell his daughter exactly what she needs to hear and exactly what he's been trying to convey to her through his actions the entire time. I love you. I love you, and I will do anything for you, including lose my mind, if that's what it takes to make you happy. And it doesn't mean that he should, but he does,
Yeah, that was I think, like you said, it was a lull, but it just brings it all together. It really like bridges those action pieces together so well. we are. I think we're based on my timer. I believe we're reaching the halfway point. So I
Okay.
think we can. Uh, we'll be back. We'll be back in a second. We're gonna take like a 5 minute break, and then we
Yeah,
are
take about
going
a five. We'll be
to
back about 12:10, y'all.
see you in a bit.
Checking the connection, checking the connection, and we're back. We're back. Hello, hello. It's always fun doing this now because we can like take a quick water break, grab a snack, you know.
Back to this. I will most likely edit this portion out. But hello to everyone tuning in. For those of you that are tuning in, if you have any questions that you want us to answer at the end of the podcast, we are going to be checking the little some user submitted questions. There's a specific tab for it. We do have the chat log rolling in front of us, but we also will check the little chat reservoir, the little question reservoir at the bottom. Later today, we're covering The Incredibles 2, which came out in 2018. And oh, there we go. Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We're back. Hello. Hello. Headphones. Headphones. Help.
Dude, that's something else we could do. We could do the old, all the old Disney, like, I always forget the duck's name. You know what I'm saying? Maybe going around the world and stuff with them. Yep.
Yeah. Today we're going to go. Yeah,
That was so much fun.
Also,
when you do that, you kind of sound like the guy from the song. It's the fire starter.
danger, danger, high voltage.
Oh man, where do we leave off, man? Remember?
I don't know. I was just thinking about I was going to do a Jojo Rabbit thing with it. But what do you think we do today, Jojo?
I say we talk about, I don't know, algebra again. That was pretty sweet. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
that
everyone
was
liked the math part, right?
That was
That's the best
riveting.
part?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Algebra was very good.
My Aunt Gail just joined, so maybe we'll ask her. Do you want to hear about math, Auntie Gail?
We were talking about cooking earlier, though. We talked about
SOPA. What's up? All right, so where are we at? We're over here. Let's talk about real quick. Elastigirl gets that mission, right? And she goes on the mission, and we talked about how her motorcycle blew up in a big blaze of flames, even though it's electric.
Yes.
But one thing I want to talk about too, we kind of touched on it, it's how things go her way. I didn't expect it though, because after she saves the day, she drops the trains and everything, and then the second train hits, in every other moment, in every other beat in the Incredibles saga, that's now going to be catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's gone. And so for it to go the other way, I don't know, man. It made me think now after watching it again, maybe there was some collusion there between Screenslaver again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because literally every time from like the very first moment we meet Mr. Incredible, like in Bon Voyage puts the bomb on Lucky, you know what I'm saying? Like, it never goes the superhero's way all the way. Sure, they save the day, but it never goes their way.
Collateral damage.
Yeah.
Name of the game. Yeah, the that sequence was just so neat, and it was literally like the first third of the film.
Yeah.
And then,
well, dude, it's the Rhapsody in Blue thing again.
Sorry.
If you for the listeners who can't see, my Tia Montegil goes, terrible in math, just flunk me. But I got SOPA.
I think that's okay. I think you get a pass or fail. You get a pass in SOPA. We'll get you a little ribbon.
Yo.
We got to do that. We should just do it. We'll do the conversation pit soup cook off. Today we're going to try 4 different SOPA.
If that's the case, I also got my Tia Eileen, my Auntie Eileen. She makes some albandiga soup. Woo! Child, let me tell you something. Don't get me started on food, Marco. This is your fault. All right, I'm blaming you. You wanted to talk about Bao.
Hey, we can pivot. We can do it. We'll switch this
a
up.
Cooking show with Pizza Planet and Truck. Let's go. We got to give the people what they want, and the people want to be fed, Marco.
We'll do the Sandra D. Two shots of vodka.
Almost.
That was 2 seconds of vodka, which is not.
That was great. So after this, this is actually where in the movie we pushed through it, but this is where Violet gets stood up. And I just want to touch on this piece. If it's ever happened to you, have you ever been stood up?
Like, no, I don't want to talk.
No, I think it's important, dude. think about it. Everybody goes through that. And it's part of what's so, we talked about the personability of Pixar movies. And being stood up is part of growing up, I feel like. And if it isn't, then funk me, dude. Because God dang it, why does this keep happening?
You get no, you don't get stood up. You get solo standing ovations. That's what. they're somewhere else, and
I had to leave, Marco. It was too funny where I was sitting. That's hilarious. Solo standing ovations. That's good. We don't get stood up.
I think the closest thing, it wasn't really being stood up, it was just like a failure to communicate. I had it where I was going to meet up with somebody. I'm like, this wasn't my sole reason for doing this, but I was flying to another city, flying to another state, and I was like, hey, like, do you want to go to this event? And they're like, yes, sure. And this is like 2 months before this is happening. And then as I'm taking off, I get a message being like, I don't know if I'm going to make it tonight. And there was just no explanation. I was like, okay.
Wow.
And I land in New York. And then somebody was talking about, they basically were like, oh yeah, I like rescheduled an appointment. I'm like, you rescheduled an appointment to a time in which you made other plans?
Hold on, Marco. I'm looking for something.
I'm
looking for the audacity that she must have had to do that to you. What the heck? Holy crap,
what?
Bro, that's fucked up.
Ooh, I'm reading
French.
Oh wait, Uncle Pierre can make pizza truck shaped homemade tortillas. Pierre!
You remember Uncle Pierre? My boy. Oh man. Dude. I don't know, man. That's rough. To get off a plane and be like, okay. I mean, my very first date, I got stood up. I just told my girlfriend this yesterday, actually, or a couple days ago, about how it was a bummer, dude. I was on a double date with Chris Staples. You remember Chris?
Staples?
And, yeah. And he had his date with him, and I watched my movie by myself. And then she texted me, I think she texted me. It was like the beginning of text messages and stuff. She texted me and said, like, how she fell asleep.
This cost me 50 cents to tell you that I fell asleep.
Dude, it was the beginning. So that was also the catalyst. My mom was like, I can't afford to pay for you and other people go to movies like this all the time. You're going to have to get a job. And I was like, oh, all right. And that was the catalyst. Me getting stood up to a date. What the hell, man? Not only did she stand me up, but she made me join the workforce.
You had to join the workforce. You had to support capitalism. You had to do all this stuff.
I was bummed, dude. That was a bummer.
With the other one, I had one once where I went on a date and we were walking around a mall and she would always walk 20 feet ahead of me inexplicably. And I literally would be like, let's go into the store. And then she like would come back, go into the store, and then she would just like leave in the middle of it. I don't know why people have so much trouble just saying things.
Yeah. Or just say, I don't want to be here and go.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I'll go.
What was great, the great follow-up was I had a friend who I was like, let's do a double date and see if this is what's going on. And the whole time my friend's going, why is she walking 20 feet in front of us for no reason? I was like, okay, it's not just me.
She's a jogger. She's a jogger. That's why.
No, she was short. She couldn't run that fast. She couldn't move it. But anyway. Anyway.
Yeah. So from here we go into the Raccoon Bandit. Dude, this scene is
Speaking
legendary.
of rodents I'd like to beat up, raccoons.
I got Marco fired up on this, man. This is good. This is good. We have now pivoted into our He-Man Woman Haters Club, Little Rascals. If you're not familiar, that was, I guess it doesn't age well. Oh, no. Oh, no. Dude, I did not, oh my gosh. That's part of my childhood.
Back up. Abort. Mayday. Sean, jump out of that plane is
so
on
is
fire.
Alfalfa canceled? If I'm just asking a question for a friend. Is Alfalfa canceled since the He-Man Woman Haters Club is totally unacceptable? Like, you could not. That is no today.
I wouldn't believe what he wrote in this letter to another 5-year-old.
I don't even want to imagine. I bet you if I Googled what because they had a mantra or whatever, right? Like a pledge.
I don't remember the pledge.
I don't want to say it. Don't even look it up. But
yeah, I know. I can't even read that letter. That letter.
I don't want to ruin this, man. This is bad. That's crazy. No. I know buckwheat's already bad enough. You know what I mean? Which I mean, here we go.
I can't complain about the little. I can't complain about the Little Rascals because there weren't any Asian Little Rascals. They just didn't exist in that time when they were making television, and then when they made the movie in the 90s, they apparently weren't producing them at the time. I don't know. It's just...
Man, this is bad. All right, well, back to Wiccan Penub and all the wrong places.
Raccoon fights.
The raccoon
we are back to raccoon fights.
What I was trying to get to is this is a masterpiece in Pixar cinema. There's a few scenes that really hit, and the last one would be the Cars. In the last Cars movie, we have the crash that happens. That's a huge, basically 24 seconds that just lasts an eternity. Mm-hmm. You have like the scene from Toy Story 2 with where they're putting Woody back together again. There's just these certain moments in Pixar cinema that will forever be there. And the Raccoon Bandit, where it starts off with he's watching like an old Western superhero movie, right? Mm-hmm. And or Western movie, and you got the good guy and the bandit, and you see Jack just get that little itch about him where he's like, "Yep, I'm the hero now," and he ruffles his nose. And what's cool is I imagine that's probably something similar to that what Mr. Incredible went through as a child, Like it was a really cool, like I was like, oh, it's rad that he wants to be a because his dad. I always take stuff back to father-son stuff, but man, it was rad just to see like, oh, he's got that same edge about him,
I love that it is his pent-up anger towards this perceived bandit that awakens all of his power.
It's so cool. It's a great superhero opening, even though it's such a small scale. It's such a good. Oh, it was rad. And I like how the personification with the raccoon, and when they make him angry and scared and stuff, it's just really cool. It was really fun. All the powers he had. Go ahead.
Yeah. At first, I was like, "Man, that raccoon's getting what he deserves." Then I'm like, "Whoa, Jack, hold on a second. Hold on. He's learned his lesson. There is no need to blow him up." Catches on fire.
Dude, it was wild. To cover the powers that I wrote down, I think I got most of them. His unlimited power involves walking through walls where he falls through the glass. He then is telekinetic, where he's able to put the top of the lid back onto the trash can that the raccoon took out, with the chicken back in the can as well. He also turns to flames. He shoots lasers out of his eyes at the raccoon. Raccoon then makes a move on baby, and he turns into putty. And then after that, he multiplies.
Mm-hmm. The other thing you got to add to that too is he's got super strength. He's got like a little bit of super strength because that baby is throwing deck chairs. He's throwing deck chairs.
Oh, you're right.
In today's math lesson, Sean, a baby weighs how average deck chair.
If a baby that weighs 50 kilograms falls from a 100-story building, and 50 kilograms of feathers fall from us.
Sorry, Sean. That's a 100-pound baby.
Which we learn in the short he can do. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so strength. don't you down talk, Jack. Unlimited power. What part didn't you understand?
Phenomenal cosmic power.
I did too. Like right here, he goes, "You have powers." He's this moment, Bob. Which I don't understand because they just saved him from Syndrome 2 weeks before that.
So, I thought the same thing when watching it initially. And I remember I went home and I said, okay, this bugged me to the point that I'm going to research it, which is many things that I research. I am annoyed with this and I must know the answer, so I have to look into it. So what I would assume is that in the scene, Syndrome flies up and grabs the baby, rocket boots flying up in the air. And he is pretty high up once Jack starts to manifest his powers. Now, I would assume that like the last
have super sight.
Yeah, I'm assuming. Let's just say they don't have super sight. I'm assuming that they probably could not see Jack vibrating, turning into metal. All they probably could, like even Helen's line, she goes, "Something's going on, something's wrong." Like she can't. However, once he turns into fire and demon baby, you'd think they would see that. The latter half, yes, So I mean, I kind of chalk it up to just like they couldn't see exactly what was happening. Maybe they were assuming it was some kind of like fight or flight thing.
There's
Or
definitely a way out for him, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
There's definitely a way out of this in the explanation. And at the same time, that was just my first thought, which I see now. You probably had that same thought, which I would imagine a lot of our listeners probably had that exact same thought the very first time you see that. You go, wait a minute. Didn't we just see all this in the last one? And because we're all excited to see all of his powers as an audience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then I guess you're also right in the sense that, you know, we're much more omniscient than the characters in our story.
Mm-hmm. The other thing, if anybody wants to get nitpicky into it, is they have the entire short where he's dealing with Kari, the babysitter, who he's manifesting all his powers. But let's remember that
on voicemail.
Yeah, on voicemail. And remember that Syndrome shows up, and by the time that the family gets there, they don't have time to see that the house has in fact been torn apart by a baby. They just see that the baby has been kidnapped, and that's all that matters. And then the house
may be torn apart, but who knows how.
Then the house gets blown up, and then you know, Jack had his plan. He had his way out. Let's see.
You know,
let's see. Why do you think superheroes have masks and capes? They are raccoons. All superheroes are wannabe raccoons.
I mean, kind of, when you think about it. Because, I mean, raccoons are incredibly strong for their size. They're able to jump from tree to tree, basically fly. They can move silently.
Poisonous bites.
Dude, for a poison
rabies.
Not a good one. You know
rabies is not.
They're very intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They make phenomenal hats. Wait,
hold on. To me, you know how like you try to personify animals, and you try your best to remember that like animal instincts are a thing, and like they're not people, but they obviously do have feelings. Have you ever seen a raccoon eat cotton candy?
No. Oh wait, I did. Yes, with the water.
Isn't it the saddest thing you've ever seen? Like you just want to hug that raccoon. Like
it's that sad song in my head.
Yeah,
just go to immediately.
Reading this comment. You mean wait? The raccoon makes the hat? You mean to tell me a raccoon made this hat himself?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, they're all working in the back. They're like the squirrels in Willy Wonka, except they don't dance or sing.
Oh my god, I forgot that there was squirrels in Willy Wonka. That was a bad version of it, dude. That was a bad version of it. I said it.
You excited? You
was
excited
that Disney? I hope they don't cancel me for that one.
You excited for the Timothée Chalamet Wonka musical prequel?
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's happening. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, okay. I mean, honestly, yeah. I was excited for the last one. I just was let down, that's all. So we finished the whole Raccoon Bandit thing. We get to the check-in between the two of them, which, once again, I really feel like, what are their names? I want to get it right on this part. Bob and Helen. Craig T. Nelson and Holly Hunter. They have a phenomenal bond, you know, in the sense that, like, their relationship on screen is so very, very believable. Mind you, they've both played husband and wives before many times, I'm sure. And they both played father and mother before many times, I'm sure. But they have a way about them in this whole thing that is so genuine and honest, you know, like the way, like I talked about how Bob really wants to support her, even though it's exactly the opposite of what he wants to do. That is what he has to do to support her. It's so I've been there a few times where, like, you're doing your best to help somebody else at your own expense, you know, and he does that. They both convey that so well to where she's having the time of her life being a hero, and the second she hears Jack's name, is in trouble. What? I need to go home right now, and just throws everything that Bob's trying to do out the window and just stampedes over his feelings, unbeknownst to her, you know, because she's trying not to. And then he's doing the same thing to her by not telling her what's going on. I loved it. I loved it.
That dynamic is really interesting, where it's like you can tell they both are happy that things are going well, but they're also kind of sad that it's going so well without them.
I think it's just good too, because, like, in a relationship, you really care about the other person's feelings, right? And it's a circle like that. But, like, so, like, if you're trying to make the other person happy at your own expense, and that person just wants you to be happy, it's never going to happen. You see what I'm saying? Just because if you're unhappy trying to make them happy, the person trying to make you happy is going to be unhappy that you're unhappy. So you got to find a way where everyone can get copacetic again, you know? And That's what they're aiming for, and that's why I say it's honest, is because they're not trying to do that. They're actively trying to break that circle. Which speaks back to Bob's whole thing of, oh, I feel like he's learned his lesson. He's just trying to implement it.
Let's see. Skimming the notes.
We're at, I believe, the turn now.
The turn. Yes.
Where his eye baggage is basically gone. You know what I mean? At this point, he's got this whole he can fix everything attitude. You know, because Jack's gone over to Edna Moe's place. I think is what's going on, right? Is that where we are?
Kind of, yeah. We're bouncing around.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so then Violet commits to social suicide and tries to figure out what's going on with Tony, and Tony has no clue who she is, and she looks like a lunatic, dude. She
great
I wrote
facial
my address
animation.
on your locker in permanent
ink. Yeah, there's definitely. I think Violet had the most like extreme facial expression in this film. They're great. They're all
agreed. You ever committed social suicide?
All the time. I don't want to.
I was Oscar the Grouch for Halloween one year, and it was really fun for a minute until I got green on everyone's walls. And anyway, I'm sorry, Denise. Tell your roommates in college I'm still sorry.
No, here's the thing, Sean. You have to do it again. You got to do it on the anniversary of it. Halloween this year. Oscar the Grouch is coming back.
I'm not doing it again. It was a really good costume, dude.
It was.
I
remember you had like suspenders on a trash can, right? Or did you just have the?
Yeah, I put I put straps on trash can, a black plastic trash can, so I wouldn't have a big metal one that would be cut me and whatnot. And I spray painted it silver with black lines on it. And
I haven't done green body Halloween. I haven't done a good Halloween costume in years. I think the last like funny Halloween costume I did. Well, no, I was Short Round a couple years ago.
That's good.
That was fun. Yeah.
This year was rad. I was we were naked and afraid. We made little like sensor boxes that we put around like our midsection.
Yeah.
So it looked like we were censoring out the air. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was fun. It was really good. Highly recommend. We had burlap sacks and sticks and shit. It was cool.
Yeah, committed social suicide. Oh yeah, that's like the entirety of my high school existence. And
it wasn't, dude. It really wasn't. You're lying.
Anybody that...
Do you remember we used to call our table the captain's table because where we ate lunch was where everybody was a captain of their prospective elective. Yeah. Marco, you were the captain of AV, bro. Straight up. You were. Don't act like you weren't. You were tight. You moved Griffin News back in the day, dog. You're tripping.
I'm so glad that those are like the YouTube algorithm has hidden a lot of those. I can find them and pull them up for you.
But... Oh, don't do that. Don't even. Let's pretend like they never happened. Bro. Yeah.
Let those sink to the bottom.
Let the baby nap. All right. Thanks.
Fun trivia fact about the scene that's coming up with the helicopter chase. Yes. The captain of the pilot has like victory medals that represent each of the Pixar films in like a little color script, which are just cool. Really, really fun, really cute.
I see. We probably only have a few, like probably half hour left, or whatever. I'm gonna kind of blaze through a lot of this extra stuff, you know.
Boogity. We're in the last 30 minutes of the.
Okay, get ready. Well, we gotta make sure we have time for it all. You know, and like Marco said, he took a lot of notes. I took a lot of notes. This is just you could tell we really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
I wrote here, Violet turns red when she finds out that Tony Dicker is the reason why. Or not Tony Dicker. Is it Tony Dicker?
Tony Rodinger has been erased by Rick Dicker.
There we go. I put them together. Agent Dicker took away Tony's memories, which finds it out she just turns on her father. We've all been in that kind of like, I hate you moment with our parents, which is so sad now as an adult to think like you ever thought that about your parents. And it's just hormones just raging out of control. Hence her expressions that we've talked about, her outbursts, her obsession with the boy, her need for her father, for her parents to stop parenting, even though that's like literally their job, you know, like all these things that are so evident as an adult that just piss you off as an adolescent, you know, and they're doing another good job of being incredibly personable again in this movie with that.
We get to the scene where they introduce wannabe supers. It's kind of funny how the second-rate supers, they all the grouping names they call them are kind of weird. I have a
Hmm.
little list in there of who is the most disconcerting of those.
Most, I after watching it, I
Hmm.
think it's Void.
Okay.
To be totally honest with you, but I think that like in that moment, it sucks because he's not even tight. The kinetic guy, I think he's gonna be really cool. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And he's not even that cool.
Hmm.
You know, I think
Yeah.
the electric guy, like based on just like other comics, should be the most powerful out of those people. But you know,
Yeah. The I don't know why the Screech creeped me out. It was between I don't know why, just
mm,
everything. You know what it was though, and I think is really funny is at first I was like, okay, he's an owl guy. That's not weird. But I think it was just the way he introduced himself. I was like, something's up with this guy. Something ain't right with that
he
boy, I
reminds
tell
me
you.
of not Lurch. Who's the guy? Who's Adam's family? Who's his brother?
Fester.
Reminds me of
He's
Fester.
Uncle
That's who
Fester
he
with
reminds me.
wings.
Yes,
Hello.
that's exactly who he reminds me of.
Dead
It's like one of
dad.
Wednesday's like little like inventions he's wearing.
Yeah. I tell you, that to me, I think that's one of my. Don't ever do this if you meet me. Uh, if you give me a dead fish handshake, you are as dead to me as that fish of a handshake you
I
gave me.
ruined you for a while with those, man. I used to do that to you all the time. Lit fish was my
Well,
favorite. Just hit you with one of these.
hello.
Yeah, you remember. You
Hey,
put
so
it out strong and you just go limp right when they get there.
right when they get to it. No, I always do the one that I do sometimes. It's funny is I'll do that weird grip where you like put your fingers around their wrist so they can't get
Uh-huh.
a good grip on your hand, and it's always funny to do it to people who are bigger than you because they try to crush your hand, and you're like, nope, nope, can't get a good grip. Shout out to Son of a Pizza Man who's tuning in. Greetings from Chicago. Thanks for tuning in. We're talking about The Incredibles 2 today. We are in the like final quarter of our like time because I don't think we're gonna do a 2-hour podcast on this, but
You never know.
we'll
We could.
see. We'll see.
Anyways, okay, so we get Haggard Bob back. That's why he goes over to Edna Mode's house. I think she needs her own movie. I wrote it in the notes. I think that she's probably the juiciest character with the least screen time that Pixar's created. Like, I who else is as loved as Edna Mode by the community? You know what I mean? Like, just universally. If you just saw this movie, she'd probably be your favorite character. You
Mhm.
know, it's phenomenal. We both talked about watching the short, so we got to see what actually happens while she's there, which
Mhm.
was pretty sweet. You know, like how she just basically runs and hides from the baby as he throws a tantrum and just
Mhm.
watches it all happen,
It
taking
all
notes.
goes down.
Hmm.
I do think what was funny about that short, the fun detail to me is I'm like, okay, obviously it seems, maybe not obviously, it seems that Edna lives alone. So you'd think that she would either build a smaller kitchen, but it seems like she built an even larger kitchen than normal because she's
Yeah.
literally like climbing the drawers. I'm like, oh gosh, Edna, like you have all this money.
Well,
Have you,
she's Edna. You could tell beats to the beat of her own drum. You know what I mean? She's and
yeah.
when she even says like how she wasn't. She's lucky she wasn't blessed with such a thing as a baby and everything. You know, like she's definitely chosen a different life and a different path than most, but has
Hmm.
also achieved to the highest ability in her field. It looks like.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, she lives alone in that huge mansion,
That would be a fun floor plan to
which is
see because
very
you.
automated too.
Mhm. That too, because she in the first film she has a security guard, and then
Hmm.
in this one I don't think she does.
Nope,
Just thinking,
she doesn't.
she definitely fired the guy from the first film after. What are you
Well, we
doing?
learn in this moment too, though, that Jack can fly. He can shape shift, and it kind of gets me to this point where I'm sitting there thinking, like, is Jack like some sort of iteration of maybe the Woodcarver or something like that? Is Jack the prodigal son returning? Like, how is he this OP? You know what I mean? This is legitimately we're getting close to power scaling. This is legitimately close to Mater and Woodcarver levels of power we're reaching here when we're watching all the things that are manifesting. And I didn't know how to really deal with it all. Like I was sitting there watching it, going like, I don't know. I know I might have to shake some things up this week. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Mhm. Let's see in the comments we got Edna loves challenges. Yes, I think that is a good subtle nod to her like personality type where she's like she can handle it. It's not like she couldn't handle
Well,
like
I think Auntie Gail is speaking to her, is speaking a little connection she probably shares with Edna in the sense that once she has a visualization of something in her mind, she then goes and does it
yeah.
immediately.
Hmm.
And when she goes and executes it, she does it to an ability that no other can do, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And my auntie Gail, man, she could do that exact same thing. Whenever she sees something creatively, she's very, very good at just being able to not just emulate it, but do it to her best abilities, which might be better than the original artist's abilities. It's really, really cool. I think after that we get this whole like we can talk about the ego death of Bob. We get to watch. I just wanted to talk about Johnny Quest is on TV. I thought that was a really cool little nod. You know, I remember being a kid and going over to Auntie Gail's house and watching Johnny Quest on Cartoon Network with my cousin Frankie. It was pretty sweet. And we get this whole solution of Jack essentially, which leads us into what looks like is going to be a piece finally. You know, we've caught the Screenslaver. The Screenslaver was a pizza delivery truck guy or pizza delivery guy. And at that moment is where we get dun da 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 the pizza plant truck.
Coming in at an hour and 1 minute into the film. And it is unique in that it is modeled after, I would say, a late 50s, early 60s Ford pickup truck. It's got that like the nice round pickup truck. Kind of gives you the quintessential work truck kind of look to it. Yeah. I like this note that you pointed out from the next scene when Bob finds out about his beloved Incredimobile being auctioned off to some random guy. And his comment of I'm formulating. And we all have those moments where you're you know that you can solve and tackle this problem, but you're like, I need to just figure it out in my head first before I do anything. And you feel for the guy. He wants his car back. He knows it's technically not his anymore, quote unquote, but at the same time it's
just a bummer when you're put between that rock and a hard place. And he goes there over and over again, you know, and he's trying his best to get out of his own feelings. Yeah. And that's really what he's going through. He's going through his own heroic struggle. And it took this to the second, and you said it took to the second time when you're watching through where you're going like, oh, okay, like they're not taking Bob out of the movie. Not at all.
Yeah. No.
Like they're showing you what's cool about it, you know, is they're showing you how super mothers can be using him as a vehicle. You know what I mean? Because Elastigirl does all that. Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
After that, we got the Dark Avengers come in basically, and while they call out Bob to go check on Elastigirl, and the Dark Event, the second-rate superheroes come over with their goggles on. And this is where we get to see the exercising of Frozone's abilities to their fullest, I feel like. Because he takes on all 6 of them or whatever.
Yeah. So just the way he enters the scene, we're like, hey guys, like, I got called too. And he's just like pushing his way through. I'll see you in a second. Closes the door. I want to call out a voice performance in it. I don't know if you noticed this when you watched it or if you noticed it after like I added it to the notes. When Dash answers the door, he's characterized like, yeah, I want to fight bad guys and and then like as soon as I'm not saying that he's like scared in this moment, but when he sees that there's six people who he doesn't know who clearly don't have his best intentions in mind, you can kind of tell in his vocal performance that you're like, oh no, like you're like and like in that moment
he turns back into a kid.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's 2 kids against a bunch of adults. This can't like it pulls you in.
We're playing trombones and trumpets at this point in the movie, which is a trip. I'm going right back into that Rhapsody in Blue thing again, where it's got us real lulled and you're sitting on the edge of your seat, eyebrows raised, wondering what's about to go down. And somehow once Frozone enters into there, you get this sense of relief. You're like, okay, we're going to be okay. And then the footstep, no, you can't close the door. And I talked earlier about how this thing pulls from anime roots and everything. This fight scene here, it hits so many really cool spots. Like the pacing is phenomenal. The scene work where they're able to take you from one part of the set into another without cutting from character, and being able to just pan into the next part of the fight and it be the same person fighting somebody. It was just amazing. It was a roller coaster to watch.
Let's see. So Frozone teleporting.
Frozone, he gets there real quick, and then after that we got Mr. Incredible going to see Elastigirl, and then when he sees her, I fell for it with him, dude. I thought that he got through to her when
Hmm.
they kissed. I really did. And when I saw that hand reach back, I was so let down.
Yeah, you're like, no. It's you're just putty. You're putty, and the
Yeah.
director and the whole crew's hands are just like, ha 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 ha. Here you go. Nope, none for you. Oh
Um,
man.
so then we got the kids looking glum. They're calling the Incredible for backup. What's really cool about that scene, we talked about Frozone's, ingenuity and how smart he is and everything. He's very
Hmm.
quick to react to make sure the kids are able to utilize the Incredible. Like
Hmm.
very, very quick, and knew exactly what to do there. And I love that mechanism to get them into the rest of the movie. I love how excited Dash is to have it. It makes me just pumped. All of Mr.
Hmm.
Incredible's kids are so his children. It's great. It is great. After this, we get to the whole Phase 2 thing, where I've then realized I don't know if there's a better Pixar villain than Evelyn. To this point at least. Like, there's a lot of great villains too, but I really feel like because her character gets less likable, like the journey they took to get her to where they are, is so much more unique and works so well. I give them so many points for her character.
I might. Well, no, actually, by saying this, like, I was going to say, like, I might be unique by saying this, but I know that I'm not in saying this. I like an unredeemable villain in films. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why. Like, I appreciate redeemable villains. I like when you see a character turn if they redeem themselves and turn around. I think that's good. But I think I dislike the concept where it's like, well, he could make the choice of being good, but like, I don't know. It's just like I
Yeah,
sometimes just like it takes a little less like.
I get tired of the Mojo Jojo treatment. I hear you, where it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, he's the biggest, baddest villain, but actually he was created by the good guys. The good guys made him bad, and he used to be good, but now look where he is.
Yeah, it's like if ooh, we could
I hear
probably
you.
spend a lot more time on that. Yeah, I'm like sitting there going like this is like glossing it over. Like I like.
It's a pioneering way to go about villainy. It's not something that happens quite as often. And in most
Yeah.
storytelling, you're recycling ideas, and it's cool that I'm sure this has happened before. Not saying it's the first time. More
Right, right.
saying it's really fun to see something that's not utilized as much in cinema or in storytelling in general, and see it work so well in a children's movie.
Hmm.
After that, we go into the Phase 3, where Elastigirl becomes flexible to any. She just once again, like, it just seems like no matter what position Elastigirl's put in, she can outthink it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The first one, when there's rockets flying at her, uh,
Yeah.
her plane with her kids in the inside, somehow she's able to save her children, boat them to shore. Like, just so many things go her way, and she's
Hmm.
always been able to do that. Um, we get the whole uncrush, which is one of the better
A
lines of
great
the whole
line.
thing.
Great line.
Can you uncrush it? What if I told you to unpunch somebody? What you say now?
I'm just imagining him like that. There's another movie you can make of the man who could unpunch people.
What the?
No,
His face is getting sucked forward.
yeah, no, like a guy is walking along and gets punched in the face. Quick, I'll take it. He's like
He
flinging
takes the
backwards.
punch and stand.
It's like the dance move or something where it's like, poof.
Oh man,
What's that called? What's that called, Sean? What's that dance move called?
which one?
Where the never mind. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, you mean the stink face? You're talking about
That's
the
it.
stink face. You're
That's
talking
it.
about going hyphy in high school. The last time Marco and I were cool, back when hyphy was in.
I just like the thought of the guy
Oh.
just grabbing punches and throwing them on himself, flying backwards. Don't worry, man. I can take this.
So we get the whole uncrushed line, and then after that we get another really good line, which is Evelyn goes, "Not such a bad way to go," and then she gets sucked out of the plane. Dude, that was brutal. You want to talk about great writing? Phenomenal, bro. Phenomenal. Every adult in the movie theater at that point is going, "What?"
And that subsequent action sequence of like all of that parallel action going on, of them
Yeah.
flying and fighting, and them, everybody trying to to turn the boat and whatnot. I realize my observation is incorrect. I was earlier I wrote in the notes about how Frozone is freezing salt water, but he's probably just freezing the moisture that's in the air that happens to be around the ocean.
Oh, because you can't freeze salt water or what?
Yeah,
Tell
at
me.
first I was like,
Eagle
in my
Scout,
head,
let me know.
yeah. First I thought he was OP for like freezing salt water, and then I'm like, wait a second, hold on. I'm like, the water that's in the air that he is turning into, I'm overthinking this. The water he's turning into ice that's in the air wouldn't have salt in it. And he wasn't like directly, oh, but he did.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
That's a hard one.
yeah,
I mean, there was a good comment in there earlier too about this. Is he able to blood bend?
Yeah, I don't know, and I God, what a horrifying
Because
concept
plasma,
that is.
our blood is mostly water.
Yeah, what a crazy concept to introduce in a television series. Capitalism and bloodbending.
After that, basically, heroes save the day. We don't get to see any real resolution out of it. We get to see like the judge says, I now bestow blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's the best. You guys are great. That's the treatment we get at the end. But we don't really get to see what happens after that, which is something I kind of wish we did, just because like they were portrayed terribly for a moment. Like we talked about perception, and the video that's out on them is really bad. And I don't know that they have video footage of all the saving that they did. It's just a trip. And then after that, we get Winston, who I feel like once again it just continues, and they knew what they were doing. He's so positive. I have this bad feeling. Do we got to worry about that guy?
I do got to bring up this really briefly. We've got about like 20 minutes left, so I'll keep this short. I think one of the weirdest bits of synergy that I've encountered in a Pixar film happened in this movie. There are two characters that are modeled after Disney Channel characters that appear in the background, and there's a whole. If you watch the extras, it's the whole. There's a whole special feature about it. So there was a series called Bizarrevark that was about like basically like viral music sensations, and it was Olivia Rodrigo and Madison Who. And there's two like when you look back at all of the scenes, there's two characters who are like in like really bright neon costumes on the boat, and they're characters that are modeled after them in theory, from my understanding.
Are they superheroes?
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. They're like bolts on their head.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, because I remember watching like a special feature like that they showed, and I was like, are they actually putting them in the movie? And then I went and saw the movie, and I was like, huh, this is interesting. It's like
is that Havana na na na? Is that person?
No, it's it's a driver's license.
Okay, I know that one. TikTok. I'm back. I'm young. I'm hip. Raise the roof, Marco. That's what the kids are doing these days.
My neck. Oh gosh. I just feel like that kind of synergy just cracks me up. It would be like having like Vanessa Hudgens pop out of a crowd randomly in a movie, just going, try. I'm just like, what is she doing here? Get out of here. Go back to the Disney Channel.
Is she Friday? Nothing. I'm probably I'm digging a hole probably. I don't know who Vanessa Hudgens is all the way.
No,
I know she's Disney. I can't
High School Musical. You're good.
Yeah, I should know that. I knew that for show. See, that's for show.
Well, you lived High School Musical.
Yeah, I did though. We were talking. All right, guys, it's time. It's time for the power scaling recap. So far, we've got the Woodcarver coming in at number 1, Mater at number 2, Mr. Incredible at number 3, Wally at 4, Jack Jack at 5, Remy at 6, Syndrome at 7, Eva at 8, Buzz at 9, Butch at... Oh, no, it's not Butch at 10. We're switching Butch. It should be Pepita. Let me make a quick switch here. Pepita then overtakes Butch. And I got a boom. I didn't update it last week. I'm sorry. Okay. Pepita and then Butch. Butch running in at 11. Butch kind of now falls into our number 1 contendership, I feel like, at that point. I put him in. He's still really powerful. I just wouldn't say that he's going to make our top 10 at this point. Contenders this week, we've got Jack Jack, Elastigirl, and Frozone. These are all people I think that are contenders for movement, essentially, this week. We also have the Screenslaver, who I felt like we should just throw in there, especially after all the stuff I gave her for being a great villain. Yeah. We'll start with the Screenslaver. She has the ability of hypnosis, which is pretty phenomenal in most situations. She got a whole super team.
And from the from what they showed in the movie, like nothing except breaking and blocking that screen. Like it's not like you can snap them out of it. You can pour water on them; it'll make them know that they're hypnotized. Played music, nothing broke them except breaking the hypnosis portion of it, which is pretty crazy. And if there's one thing we know from high school, it's the power of hypnosis.
Don't show anyone that video either. Anyways, wow, I have a lot of incriminating evidence. Okay. Pepita. I'm sorry, no. The Screenslaver has the hypnosis thing. You're right. You can't snap anyone out of it. I think her biggest con is that she's just a person. We're just meat sacks in comparison to a lot of these other people on this list. Like even Buzz. If Buzz was to meet the Screenslaver, I think Buzz, Screenslaver dies. You know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, if the Screenslaver gets the jump on anybody in this, outside of maybe the Woodcarver possibly being, what's the word I'm looking for here?
An immortal, omnipotent being.
Immune to the hypnosis, possibly. I also think Mater might be immune to the hypnosis, but also because I think Mater doesn't have too many screws in his head to be loose even, So I think but I don't know. Because, the whole way hypnosis works is the power of suggestion. And so, I don't know. Anyways, I do think Screenslaver is a solid villain. I just don't know how OP the power is all the way. I would say it's, I put it in the same area as, the pet collector of sorts. You know what I'm saying? Where it's, the pet collector just needs to be able to name somebody and have them respond to said name, and then it can claim dominion over them, right? And then it just has that dominion forever. It doesn't have to break a screen or anything. It just has it. But then the Screenslaver, all it has to do is make you look at something. So it's just, it's a bit, I don't know. I don't feel like the Screenslaver should make the list over Pepita. I don't feel like it should make the list over Buzz even, because I feel like Buzz, just like Elastigirl, would be able to outwit and outsmart the Screenslaver. I don't think that Eva would be affected by it really. Syndrome would take care of that kind of technology really quickly. I feel like that's pretty rudimentary compared to the technology that he was using. So I would leave Screenslaver into contenders. What do you say?
Yeah, I think Screenslaver definitely would stay, and potentially, I was thinking about a hypnotized T-Rex, how terrifying that would be.
Right.
Yeah,
I think Butch goes. I think she falls. When you think she's above Butch? I don't know. I think the thing is that we have Butch up there, but then we also have the team we've talked about from Finding Nemo or Finding Dory. And that I think also kind of plays into. I don't know. I know it's not teams, but I do feel like the team of the Finding Dory squad would take out the Screenslaver.
Yeah, I think if we're just talking about brute strength and I think so. Yeah, I think Screenslaver would probably be the lowest of those contenders.
Of the main contenders, I would say. Because I think Screenslaver goes right there next to Pet Collector, where they just have stipulations that don't make them as strong. Because the Pet Collector is also a friggin' Triceratops, so mess with him. I dare you.
No, thank you.
We next up have Frozone. Frozone, we have a lot of people in the comments talking up Frozone right now. I think that he's definitely coming up with just the ingenuity that he carries. He's got a lot of ability when it comes to just having water in the air. He can freeze. He's got almost unlimited amount of freezing ability. You know what I mean? I haven't seen him tired really yet. He's been just able to continually perform, which is really cool. When he stops the boat in the movie, we see the full-fledged ability that he has, or even when he stops the Underminer. Both those abilities that he has, he's able to stop things that we're talking basically hundreds of tons in weight, and that kind of force to be able to slow it down is crazy for Mr. Incredible, and Frozone can hang. So that really, as much as he doesn't have super strength, his ice does give him super strength and some sort of ability. And then we got somebody talked about, is he able to bloodbend? I don't know about that. I think that's kind of dark for Pixar, but at the same time, blood is mostly that. So I guess he probably could freeze people from the inside. At the same time, I feel like we watched him in the first one freeze somebody and they were totally okay.
Yeah,
he froze the cop.
Yeah, he's freezing the water in the air. And is there actually oxygen? Well, there's oxygen being carried by the blood cells, and would there be moisture in them? I'm just thinking we have to get scientific with this.
Yeah,
Ice in the veins. Oh God. Anyway, Frozone.
caught a boy.
I'm sitting there like we're gonna see. This is like there's this like mini series I want to do where it's like overly unnecessary deep dives into this kind of stuff. It's like we're gonna interview someone who's in
Is there the sports science?
Yeah,
Power
like,
scale.
yeah. Today we're gonna let me tell you something. We're gonna draw on this thing. We're gonna get the round.
You know what? I think for the sake of this, we have to say that it does. You know what I mean? Because we've given Mater an absorbent amount of powers that we've seen displayed and not displayed just based on what he has shown us. And so I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to say that they didn't scientifically think through the saltwater aspect and that he was able to actually freeze the water as well. And he could probably create icebergs in the water.
Did Frozone make the Titanic sink?
Yeah, maybe. You never know. Sorry, Jack.
I've had it with these ocean liners in my Atlantic Ocean.
Boys, it's been a pleasure. He goes over to the guys playing the music and just starts. All right. So where do I put Frozone in this mix? Do I put him above Pepita? I don't know. Pepita
is a mystical being. I would say,
and Pepita can most likely shoot out fire as well because we saw the other what are they called now? Abrijes were able to, you know what I'm saying? So I would imagine it probably shoot up more fire than that. We've seen Frozone have an issue with being in a burning building and using his abilities. So I really feel like Pepita would be a really good match to just jack up Frozone, to be totally honest with you. And Pepita's got the reflexes thing going for her too. It's not as though you're fighting brick. Does Buzz take out Frozone? I mean, he's got the laser ability again. He can fly. Yeah. I think at this point we're running into this is where Frozone might be at a better matchup, I think, you know? But the difference is that Buzz can fly in and out of space, which is a huge, huge, huge advantage. You know what I mean? Like Buzz can also handle extreme temperatures because if he can be in space, then he can handle below freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
So I feel like Buzz once again is also stronger. I think Eva would dismantle Frozone. And so I really feel like Frozone once again is going to fall right here in our contendership.
I think I think he is like firmly within contenders. Like I think he might be the top or maybe tied with Butch. I don't know.
I think he beats Butch. I really do.
Yeah,
I don't think because Butch can't do nothing against Ice at all. The only thing that it's like the problem with Pepita compared to Butch is that Pepita has that flame ability. You know what I mean? And can fly. Butch doesn't have that. Butch can teleport. But I mean, like once Butch gets a foot stuck somewhere, he's toast.
Yeah.
Elastigirl. This one's a good one, man. I've been excited for this part. So she got the stretchy abilities. We've seen her turn into if Buzz takes off the suit, he's just a dude. Okay, I hear you, but that's not who he is. You know what I mean? If Mater was just a car, it'd be a car. That's the same argument. You know what I mean?
Has Buzz ever been out of his suit?
We've never seen him out of his suit. We've seen him out of his suit in the trailer now for Lightyear.
Yeah,
but that's it.
Anything else would be like animated series, dude. Yeah.
Oh wait, didn't we see him in a Hawaiian shirt once? Did we?
Knowing our luck, it's probably over this. It's probably Hawaiian. Yeah, he's probably wearing it over.
Probably.
Yeah.
So Elastigirl, she got the stretch abilities. We've seen her turn into a parachute, a boat. She can get under doors, in between cracks. She's able to get under doors to actually unlock doors, which is wild to think about. She can fly just about anything. She's incredibly clean in the way that she works, and she's the most ingenuitive of the supers by far. Like there's nobody else that is able to turn no-win situations into winnable situations like her at all.
I'm thinking
when you put her up against everybody, dude. I mean, like I think she takes Butch out easy peasy.
Yeah.
I think Pepita. I think Pepita's toast. To be totally honest with you, man. Like. I think that she could, like, put it this way. Pepita bites her, she turns herself into gumminess, doesn't actually bite her. You know what I mean? Like, Pepita,
I'm looking,
shoots fire at her. Her suit is made to withstand fire. We watched Adam Mode shoot a rocket at it. I don't know. It's not like it's a crazy ability. I just mean she would find a way to detain and take down Pepita, especially with her smarts as well. Yeah, Buzz Lightyear, Buzz is done, dude. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Buzz doesn't, because I mean, if we're working in Buzz's universe even, and there's like some spaceships, she's flying the spaceship around and she's shooting you down, guy. She's a better
Mm-hmm.
pilot than you. That's just who she is.
Just looking at the list, it's like I think she falls like
I think that's what
she's
she
above
falls.
Remy. I think she's above
You
Remy.
really? I was going to put her just above Buzz and have Eva take her down. That was my thought. But you think Syndrome, because I think that Syndrome takes down Elastigirl as well. I think Syndrome's a little.
It depends on like what technology he would get, though. You know. So, but yeah.
Because I mean, Syndrome's smart enough. I think Syndrome and her are definitely about as. Let's see. I guess ingenuity is still the right word. I was going to say smart or intelligent, but I think Syndrome's more intelligent because, I mean, he's able to do this whole technological thing. And if he was to study Elastigirl, which is something he would do before
he could find something.
He would take care of her. I mean, like you saw in this one, all they did was just turn the temperature down and she couldn't, whatchamacallit. You know what I mean? So that's why I put her above Buzz, below Eva, because that's where we're running into issues. Because Eva doesn't have to worry about any temperatures at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I see that then. Yeah,
the survivability is what I think puts Eva above her. I think that she's even more of a survivor than Buzz and has the powers working for her. Other person said if Buzz didn't have the suit, she could literally get into Buzz's suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think above Buzz at the very least. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a trip too, man. We haven't broken the top 10 in a while.
Yeah, definitely. And especially after, I think more so in this movie than in the last one. They showed a large variety of what she can do. We're at the 4-minute mark, but we'll see if we can push
We'll push it through. I got Jack's last one. Last one, Jack. All right, so we got Jack over here, I think 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it gets wild. He's shown us his unlimited power. He can walk through walls. He's telekinetic. He's got flames, laser, putty baby. Adds, we have the water ability now. He can turn himself into a water version of himself. Turns to metal. He's got transdimensional powers. At this point, Wally doesn't stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Wally does not stand a chance. Wally gets sent to another dimension. That's it. Done. Mr. Incredible. I don't know, man. This is hard because we've seen him now deal with the Hulk baby like it's not even touching him.
Yeah, I think
Demon baby doesn't do a thing. Flame baby doesn't hurt him because he's basically impervious. You know what I'm saying? He's the perfect father to this child.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's only because Jack is a child that Mr. Incredible is okay, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're dealing with the smallest version of all of these powers.
I think, too, like, kind of the thing we talked about before, where it's like, Jack will eventually probably only have one power after a certain point. I know that Edna did say
I don't think so.
Well, like, he's a polymorph, but then, like, I feel like they would have made a bigger deal about him having more powers. I thought they were kind of like, Actually, now that you mention that,
I think he's going to have those. I think that all those powers are going to get better and better. He's going to probably find more and more. That's why I say, like, is he the prodigal son? And I even put, is he the wood carver? Because, I mean, like, his powers are straight up unlimited. Like, there's not a, like, name. He could fly. I didn't put that in there. He flies. At one point, he's just flying.
So do we, well, if we're going to place him in the ranking, are we going to sit there and say that, like, Jack at this moment as a baby?
It has to be now because it's the perspective we have.
Yeah.
So that's why I still put him under Mr. Incredible.
Yeah. I would say where he's at right now is where he will remain.
I would put him one up. I'd say he takes out Wally now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Wally is sturdy, but put him.
See, all that, you think he can take all of it? You know what I mean? That's why I say
no, you're right. You're
all
right.
That doesn't work. He just puts him somewhere else.
Technology in the room with a baby. Only one of two enter the ring, and only one will remain. Yeah,
Wally's batteries will fall out.
Yeah, move him. Move Jack up. He's number 4.
All right. That's all I got. Anybody got any questions for us before we get out of here?
I'm checking the question box. We got nothing. I think we can just do a nice little roundup here. Actually, no, I need to. Hold on. We're going into the clicky clack hour for a moment.
Click clack clack clack.
We're typing away here. I haven't gotten the warning yet, but based on my timing here, we should be coming up on it in just a moment. Let's see. So next week we are likely going to record on Thursday.
Honestly, we gotta talk about it, man. As I said at the beginning of the show, I got 3 jobs working at the moment. I'm doing my best over here, but I have a feeling we'll talk. We might have to take a
Well,
1 week
it's up in the
hiatus.
air. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. But the next movie we're going to watch is Toy Story 4.
Dude, I can't wait, man. We're back at it.
Back at it again. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you when we see you.
Peace, love, and pizza.